My father's excitement pierced straight through my heart. I swallowed back the sob rising in my throat. Okay, I'll see you at the wedding. After the call ended, George's voice followed, calm and unhurried. The wedding will be held at the best hotel in the city. The flowers are being flown in on a private jet. We hired the most famous photographer for the wedding photos. It will be the wedding you wished for. I dug my nails into my palm, forcing my voice to stay steady. So you think that's enough? Because you spent a lot of money. I should cooperate with this ridiculous wedding. I'm not forcing you. He slipped one hand into his pocket and looked at me the way he would in a business negotiation. But you've been with me for 7 years. Without me holding you, you can't even fall asleep. Can you really leave me? And your father, a single dad. Think about how long he's been waiting for this day. As if certain he had won, the corner of his mouth lifted slightly. Don't throw away what we have over an irrelevant woman. My chest felt heavy. Then why don't you divorce that irrelevant woman first? A flicker of impatience passed through his eyes. Once the wedding is held, everyone will know you're my only wife. In the future, our child will be the Grimaldi family heir. She won't appear in our social circle and get in your way. You two never have to meet for the rest of your lives. I've done everything I can to satisfy you. Don't be greedy. Greedy? Wanting my future husband to belong only to me was considered greed? I clenched my teeth and said, George, get out. He blinked. Baby. I tore the ring off my finger and hurled it at him with all my strength, interrupting him. Get out. He didn't dodge. The diamond cut across his cheek, leaving a thin line of blood. He bent down, picked up the ring, and studied me with an unreadable expression. I know you're just saying this out of anger. You'll regret it later. I should have had a child with you sooner. Then you wouldn't be hung up on this. You would have chosen to stay by my side. A chill ran through my body, and my hand moved instinctively to my lower abdomen. In his eyes, even a child would only be a tool to tie me down. I turned my face away as I couldn't bear to look at him. I'll give you some time to calm down. I'll come back in a while, he said. When the door closed, I slid down against the wall and sat on the floor. The happiness I thought I could almost touch had turned out to be nothing but a bubble. One poke, and it burst. My phone suddenly rang. It was a neighbor from my hometown. I took a breath and tried to sound normal. Mr. Benny? But his voice was cautious, probing. Bella, have you been very busy lately? Have you been checking on your father's health? My heart clenched. He was right. For the past 3 months, all my energy had gone into wedding preparations. He continued. He fainted in the yard today, and we sent him to the hospital. The doctor says his condition is serious. Did you know that? I froze. What do you mean? It's late-stage cancer. Your dad didn't want us to tell you. He doesn't have much time left. He seemed more energetic after hearing about your wedding. He said his final wish is to walk you down the aisle and hand you over to a man he trusts. The call ended because my tears kept falling onto the screen. I covered my face and cried silently for a long time until no more tears would come. Only then did I dial the number I knew by heart. George answered almost immediately. Baby, what is it? My expression was empty as I forced myself to speak, my voice hoarse. Our wedding will go on as planned. Early the next morning, I rushed straight to the hospital where my father was staying. When I pushed open the door to his room, my heart skipped a beat. His hospital gown hung loosely on his frame. He had clearly lost even more weight, and the sight of it made my heart ache. My father, however, looked surprised to see me. He then gave a helpless smile, no doubt guessing that one of the neighbors had tipped me off about his condition. Before I could say anything, he turned his phone toward me. On the screen was my pre-wedding photo with George. You, my daughter, are so beautiful, he said proudly. On your wedding day, you're going to be the most stunning bride ever. There was a lump in my throat, and I couldn't say a single thing. Suddenly, he asked, by the way, did you tell George about the pregnancy? I pressed down the sting in my eyes and nodded gently. I did. He was very happy. My father let out a relieved sigh. Then he started giving me careful instructions on what I should eat, how much I should rest, and not to wear high heels for long periods. My vision began to blur. Afraid he would notice, I turned my face away and made an excuse about going to the restroom to fix my makeup. The woman in the mirror looked exhausted. Even the heavy foundation couldn't hide it. I wiped the dampness from the corners of my eyes and took a deep breath. For my father's sake, I had to hold it together. I had to finish acting out this happy play. 3 days before the wedding, I told George I want to meet Josie. To my surprise, he agreed. Maybe in his mind, everything had been settled. So, even if I met her, nothing would change. The driver took me to a villa compound on the west side of the city. From a distance, I could see elite soldati patrolling the grounds. The security was tighter than at some consulates. So this was how he treated a burden? With every gate we passed, my heart sank a little lower. When the car door opened, a maid called out cheerfully, Donna, the dawn is here. Her voice stopped abruptly when she saw that it was me stepping out of the car. However, I said nothing and simply took in the house around me. It was luxurious, warm, and meticulously maintained. Nothing was neglected. Nothing looked temporary or improvised. It was clear that George had treated her fairly in terms of material needs. A slender figure slowly entered my line of sight. She was indeed beautiful. Josie Hill walked past me without a glance and wrapped her arms around George's arm behind me. Dawn, you finally come. I've missed you so much. He nodded. The doctor said you haven't been taking your medicine again. His tone sounded neutral, but there was a trace of concern hidden underneath. I wanted you to feed it to me, Josie said shyly. Only then did George turn to me and introduce. This is Bella. That was it. He didn't say I was his fiancé or bride-to-be, just a name. Josie narrowed her eyes slightly as she looked me over, her tone light and pleasant. Hi, I'm Josie. Come in. Don't be shy. Make yourself at home. What would you like to drink? There's champagne in the fridge he just bought, or you can try the coffee I made. He said my skills have improved. She carried herself like the lady of the house. I clenched my teeth, feeling my anger rise. To be honest, she didn't look like the daughter of heroes who had once taken a bullet for someone. She looked delicate, fragile, and almost spoiled. On the way here, George had told me he'd once tried to send her away overseas for the best medical care, for school, and even just for travel. However, she refused. She only wanted to stay in this vast, empty mansion, clinging to her illness, waiting for George to visit her whenever he could. Before I could say anything, George had lifted her naturally into his arms and carried her toward the couch. He instructed the maid, bring me the medicine the Donna had hidden. The maid immediately retrieved it with practiced ease and handed it to him. Josie wrapped her arms around his neck, refusing to let go, and George simply continued holding her like that. I stood there frozen. I watched as he brought the pills to her lips, poured her a glass of water, and used his thumb to wipe away the moisture at the corner of her mouth. She held the title of Donna, which should belong only to me, and was shown the tenderness that should only be meant for me. If I had held on to even the slightest illusion before coming here, an illusion that they were only bound by a piece of paper, forced by their families, it all shattered in that moment. I didn't want to hurt this girl, but I also didn't want my child to enter this world branded as illegitimate. At the thought that the wedding between George and me would be built entirely on lies, I couldn't stay there for another second. I stood up, announcing I should go.